Maybe... no, that won't work there. Wait a minute. Yes, this'll do. Now that we're coming off to the tail end of January,
So that was a fucking lie.
I think we can all agree that most movies released that month have a tendency to do something better than even my Henry Hoover could do. And that is to fucking suck shit. But there was that one movie I would consider something of an underground classic among all the trash it was covered in. However, I want to set the record straight now that this is not a review of the movie Be Kind Rewind. But to give you guys some context, I'll have to do a quick rundown. So, for those who don't want to get spoiled, here's your chance now. So, let's get into it. Me? Be Kind Rewind is a 2008 movie that was directed by none other than Michel Gondry. Yeah, that. Who's best known for his creative endeavors in music videos for every stadium fan's favorite indie group, the White Stripes, and yeah, some other small-time movies you probably haven't even heard. So with an understanding of his catalogue and style, you can see he's a more creative and out-there director with a massive love and appreciation for the world around it. And nowhere is this more obvious than in his entitled film from 2008, Be Kind Rewind. The main cast consists of Mos Def, a lyrical genius in his rhymes, yet he seems to be a man who sounds like he can just about remember his lines, and alongside him is a well-respected and an Academy Award-winning actor. Oh, and Danny Glover, I suppose.
My balls were flapping so hard.
In the beginning of the film and in between some significant dialogue, there's some black and white footage that plays out about the jazz musician Fat Swallow, who later becomes a very significant character as the movie plays out. Trust me on this one. The first time that I watched these cuts from the actual film to the homemade one, I was really confused and I didn't feel like it made much sense. But on a second viewing, they actually show that the similarities from that time period and theirs isn't too far off from one another's. After Jerry mistakenly paints an extra nose and remarks a funny sex number,
how am I supposed to tell the difference between a 6 and a 9?
He gets arrested for being unfunny and spends the rest of the night in jail. Which is followed by justifying his reasoning with a sick flow so he gets to keep his penis privileges for one extra day. Though this isn't necessarily his entire fault, as the... Okay, I don't even know what job it is he does. It's not even made clear in the movie. He worked at, like, NASA or something.
In this video, you're going to see the future. Windows.
So eventually we come to learn that the owner of the store, Mr. Fletcher, is having some financial problems with the low customer rates and the fact that the price to rent the actual movie was higher than it was to rent a movie from his store. It's just tenacity. It's almost like both have been completely forgotten until some richer arsehole wants to tear it all down and not even take any consideration into the other person's well-being and their history. Of course, Mike knows that the place hasn't been doing great for some time, as he's shown to be completely fine to refuse down his monthly payment. Not too long after their deep sad boy hours, we're cut to Mr. Fletcher leaving on a train to hang with his homies again. Like most of us after a particular virus would just threaten our entire economy and planet. But because of Mike's gamer instinct to skip all dialogue, he ends up forgetting what information he needs to tell him so that Mike can carry on the story mode. Jerry eventually comes to the conclusion that it's the towers that are affecting their brains and that they need to take them... Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just getting wrapped up with the reality again and... Wait, what do you mean this is real? You've gotta be fucking... After Mike uses 100% of his gamer skills to blend into the environment, he just realizes that he might have cum brain, as the message was written backwards the entire time. He logically decides, fuck it, and leaves Jerry to take down the 5G tower himself. And he fucking dies. Okay, that doesn't actually happen. He gets struck by electricity so hard that he found himself returning for a role in Spider-Man 3 as Jerry comes back, walking to the store fully functional, and from now on just has the ability to fully break any logics and any reality the movie had going for it. From pissing out magnetic piss, customers flat out just accepting these. An increased sale for a disc squirting brush for over 80% because of a stainless steel cover. Actually, that sounds like, come to think of it, that sounds like the most realistic part about the movie.
It is the biggest leap forward since the original iPhone.
So, accepting the film doesn't take too much of a realistic approach, Jerry's newfound ability eventually causes all the tapes to go blank and puts the already broke business out of more money. For a whole $1. This causes Mike to drown himself in a downward spiral until he comes to the brilliant idea to refilm all of the tapes and just remake them with whatever they have. Of course, they aren't remakes, but more of something you'd see on the internet for like free. Which, by the way, if you actually check out the YouTube channel for the movie, you can find the director's recreation of the actual movie trailer that was just made by himself and probably another person.
Oh, what's happening to our hood?
It just seemed really interesting to me that he would use such a site like YouTube to build hype for the movie, especially considering it was only a few years old by this point and AdSense wasn't even available yet. Long gone are those days where you just chill out at your bro's house, playing the Halo 3 campaign with each other, and he'd ask you, "Hey, you seen that one video of the cat on the piano?" "Nah, man, that sounds dumb as hell. Let's go watch it." Well, now those days are gone. Now you're just sitting in your undies, playing some game you don't even care about with some people you've never even seen before, and nobody's really talking about that one video anymore because there's a whole plethora of them to choose from now. I'm not trying to say that a larger selection of content is a bad thing to have. I just don't think it's about what's the most out there and creative piece of content anymore, but rather what feeds into trends and unnecessary drama to gain a few clicks. But as we know, it just seems that the internet likes to eat into that negativity. After hitting home run after home run and making more money than the business has seen in years, Mr. Fletcher comes back and heavily insists in buying stocks in the most advanced piece of technology in video ever. A fucking DVD. But what's this? Word got out about the Sweden movies, and now the FBI wants to put them behind bars for over 60,000 years? Well, don't worry. Because not even I have a sponsorship for this video. So in the end, they all get thrown in jail for tax evasion. Alright, I'll stop doing it now. They're told that they can no longer make the Sweden movies and that all the work they had made up until that point was just for nothing because they were quite literally crushed along their dreams by a fucking steamroller outside. Naturally, feeling defeated, and with a week before the entire place would cease to be anymore, they all collectively come together and make their own movie with whatever they had with them before the metaphorical and literal balls of reality would crush them together. If you're old enough to remember, or you're just like me, you'll know that there was a time before you were limited to the choices of movies you could watch because the service didn't have it, or they just removed it from their library. Are you fucking kidding me? On Fridays, after a long, hard day of playing the unblocked parking flash games in the school's local computer lab, you'd feel like it was your mini birthday when you see that bright yellow Blockbuster sign glow up on your cheekbones, and boy oh boy, you knew you couldn't be any more excited than then. They had all sorts of movies you could buy and rent, and holy shit, they had a video game selection, what the f***? But as like a good friend, some things aren't really built forever, and as the years went by, so did the number of stores until there was just one left that still remains to this day as a distant memory to us now. As the movie comes to its final moments, we get to see all the characters we've gotten to know. Each and every one of them comes to step into the store like it's going to be their last time. There's little to no dialogue here, just a set of people cheering, reminiscing, and laughing along the way of something that they cared deeply about. Of course, the donations weren't enough to keep the place up, but it didn't even matter anymore to them. They had made something of their own, and nobody And I mean nobody, not even the government, can take that away from them. Which, when peering outside, there was a whole other audience watching along with them, like it was their own little jazz bar. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you're just probably wondering what the hell does YouTube and rental stores have to do with one another? Like, how can they be one and the same? What is connecting them? Well, it's simple, and that's a community. An algorithm is not a human, and as much money as those companies will just throw into it, it'll never compare to the days where it was just by word of mouth by friends and family and the people in the community you loved and cared for the most. Hell, if you went into any Blockbuster back then, you'd find an entire selection of recommendations by actual people working there. And it was the same way for how videos would just be found and shared among groups and peers, because they were made out of passion from individuals with a no-budget idea that could be someone who would just live right next to you. We all know someone who's not quite there but has a great heart. We all know someone who's not quite up with the times but has amazing wisdom-filled stories to tell us. We all know someone who would lend you something, even when you needed it the most. So maybe after a long and isolating year, it shouldn't be too hard for us to come back again one day, to be kind and rewind.